Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. It's me, Digi, and we are in Microsoft Flight Simulator, what we call FS 2020. We are on the ground at Charlottetown, which is Charlie Yankee Yankee Golf. We're going to be leaving Prince Edward Island and flying over to the French territory of St. Pierre and Miquelon. The ICAO code, I believe, is Lima Foxtrot Victor Papa. We're going to take our friend, the Phenom 100, and gonna go fly over there. The flight time is probably gonna be about an hour 15 minutes, and then when we get there we'll figure out whether or not we're up for a second flight. If we do, we're gonna be going to a payware airport I recently just picked up. I forget if it's FSIM Studio or if it's somebody else, but it is Halifax, and we won't be taking this plane to go there. It's more of a scenario or pretend flight because St. Pierre is a pretty small airport. I'm not expecting a 787 to take off from that, especially nothing bigger than a 787-800, but we will do the things. Allison, thank you for your 22 months. Appreciate the sub and for stopping by. Wow. Um, Thank you so much for the support. Let's get underway, shall we? Oh, well, tell you what. Just in case nobody was here the last time we pulled in, this is a freeware version of Charlottetown's airport on flightsim.to. Honestly, it's pretty good. It gets the job done, and even better than that, it looks wonderful. Um, Mostly default assets, as you can see, but frankly, this is much better than having nothing. And honestly, I'll take it. Pretty to the point, pretty nice. Like I said, really glad with what we have, and we will go ahead and move in. So, let's go ahead and get this bird started. It's apparently a cold day out there. I don't know what the weather is, so I'm gonna have to open up. Let's see. Well, first off, I need to generate my flight, and then I can open up charts. The flight is scheduled to be an hour and a half of block time, and let me open up the charts app because I have Navigraph charts installed on my computer, and we're going to be flying out of runway 03 at Charlottetown, and we're going to be landing runway 26 at St. Pierre. Along the way, we're going to hit pretty much just one waypoint, and that is Umeti. Now, the only thing I haven't done yet is figure out what the approach is going to be at the airport. So we have 10 arrivals that we can choose from, and let me actually be gracious and actually give you guys a chance to peek at my process. Nathan, hey, good to see you, my friend. What do we have here? We have a flight sim pilot that is home from a day out with Mrs. Digi, and I will debrief you on the day. And we are, of course, going to fly the Phenom 100, this wonderful, wonderful little bird. For those of you that don't know, the Phenom 100, courtesy of Coronado and FSX, was the plane that I learned how to do VATSIM IFR flying with, because it basically came with everything that was required, including an FMS and waypoints that actually worked. So, we're almost underway here, but let me get the GPU connected so we can start turning some things on first. GPU is now living, and I'm going to go ahead and set up the oxygen pressure and pressurization, get bus ties to auto, and adjust the ELT so I'm not broadcasting an emergency code. Don't know why the plane likes to do that, but all good. Pump 1 and pump 2 to auto, hydraulics and ADS AOAs to auto, window heats definitely for a day like today, and we're going to go ahead and set up the bleeds and the pressurization. We'll take care of the ignition shortly. Now, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, I was going to try to capture that window. So, let me do this. I'm going to do a window capture, and we're going to do Navigraph charts, and we're going to see if we can find it. There we are. So, boom, and you guys should be seeing the same screen that I'm looking at right now. I think I see that on stream as well. So, let's go in, and if we're going to land 2-6, we have apparently 10 arrivals to choose from. which is kind of crazy. So I don't necessarily care about, oh, you know what? We can do the Atlan 2 Alpha or 2 Sierra arrival. So we're going to pick Alpha, and then we're going to do the approach for ILS Zulu 26, because if you're going to do an ILS approach, Digi always says go with the Zulu if you have the option. So we're going to come in here and we're going to go straight to IVP 26. That's the plan anyway. And once we land, then when we get down there, the plan is to basically exit by whiskey, otherwise we have to backtrack. But this plane is probably capable of landing and being taxiable probably within the first 45% of the runway, I'd say. If we don't make Echo, we should definitely make Whiskey. And ground facilities and probably GA are on the western side of the main terminal. So I think we're good insofar as Charlottetown goes. We're going to be leaving on runway 3, which means we can either take Alpha all the way down to the bottom or Bravo and back taxi 403, which is a magnetic deviation of 027. So I think we're good. I want to say we're good, but we'll take it. All right, we've got that set. Let's just make sure we start getting the plane set for departure. And it looks like we do have a little bit of weather to contend with on the way out of Prince Edward Island, so we'll do our best. Yaw damper on for now, flight directors as well, and let's get the nav lights on and also get the panel lighting up. We'll do some upwash for our VIPs that are going to be traveling to St. Pierre, and that should do it for lighting for now. Now, our flight today is going to take us up to 39,000 feet, which is a little bit crazy. I think if we're going to cruise at all, I want to say 370. I don't know why 39,000 feet was chosen, but let me take a look at the briefing preview. I wonder if it can show me where the cloud cover is. Let's see. Zooming in here. Yeah, I think we should probably be fine at 370. And let's see. Umedi. There's going to be a lot of room for descent though, but this flight seems deceptively long. So I'm going to go with 39,000 feet and we'll go ahead and we'll kick it there. Okay. This shouldn't take too long to do. Stand by chat. There we go. Flight level 390, and looks like we do have some winds to contend with. So I'm going to take a look at the chart and see what our current airport weather situation is. At Charlottetown, we currently have winds 320 at 15, gusts 23. So it's going to be a bit bumpy getting out of here. Snow, overcast at 800, temperatures 0, and the altimeter is 29 or 88. So we're probably going to need to use the anti-ice for our departure today. Otherwise, let's see, what am I missing? Well, more than a few things apparently, but we'll start with the simple stuff first. This is more for window dressing, so to speak, because I'm not flying on VATSIM today. I just feel like being really chill. I have flown on VATSIM in the past, and I certainly will be flying on VATSIM again in the future. Just not tonight. Just not tonight. I feel like taking a chill pill. We are going to use FSLTL traffic injector though, so we should have some traffic to contend with flying around the area, and I do like flying in the Maritimes very much. So now we have FSLTL connected to MSFS, and I'm waiting for it to start injecting some traffic. I want to see it. It will eventually though, so I'm going to start doing that. We have our transponder code set, and we do have Actually, there we go. It's injecting traffic now. I want to see what the localizer approach is going to be. We have 218 feet for our barometrically adjusted final approach altitude, or MDA. So we'll do minimums baro, and we're going to do 200. Did I say 218? I said 218. So let's just pick 220 because I don't think it deals with single digits. 220 is fine. Okay, 220 is fine. And okay, let's start getting the flight plan set. Flight number 1 of potentially 2, but we'll see what happens. So we're leaving Charlie, Yankee, Yankee, Golf, and we're going to be going to St. Pierre. But first, runway 3, destination. Let's just put in Umedi here because it's the only waypoint. And destination is going to be Lima, Foxtrot, Victor, Papa, St. Pierre. Okay, and we're landing 26. 26 set. Okay, so procedure. I don't think there's a departure out of Charlottetown, or excuse me, there is the Charlottetown 3 departure, and we're going to be going to Mansec. We'll load that, and then the destination is probably going to have an no, excuse me, it is going to have an arrival, and we've already chosen that. The Atlan 2 Alpha. Atlan. We're going to load that, and we're also going to load the approach, which is going to be the Zulu 26 for the ILS. We'll take vectors, and minimums are going to be, again, 220 feet. Close enough. And we will load that. Okay, so we didn't actually have to worry about the system actually, picking the runway or picking the final approach already because it didn't activate it. And what am I missing? Oh, right. Missed approach altitude at St. Pierre is going to be... Actually, what is it going to be? VP 510. Where's the missed approach data? Climb straight ahead to VP 510, Victor Papa 510, then turn left direct to Victor Papa 511. Climb up to 2000. Fair enough. Okay, so there we go. We've got the flight plan set. Hey, Iowa Scotsman, thanks for the 57 months of support. That's unbelievable. Thank you so much, my friend. Welcome back. We are flying a business jet to St. Pierre. We're flying from Canada to France, and we're not crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Go figure that one out. It's a French territory that we're flying to, which always makes for an interesting flight to me because the geography of it all just makes my brain kind of go, huh? All right. So the flight plan is in place, and we have our transponder. We're squawking altitude reporting right now, and we have our initial climb set. When we climb, we're probably going to climb at 170 for, I think, best climb, and we are definitely idle. And I'm going to set my flaps to 1 so that when the plane turns on, we're fine. Okay, ignition mode auto, and we haven't started the engines yet. Let's just double check everything. We have fuel pumps auto, pack signs set, ELT is armed, hydro and ADS are both auto, window heats are on. I'm probably going to turn on anti-ice when we get lined up with the runway, and we're going to go ahead and double check our tests. So, yeah, oxygen pressurization is good. We're mode auto. Let's do our annunciator lights. So, annunciator lights, looking good, looking good. Fire test.
Fire, fire.
and stall.
Stall. Stall.
All right, there we are. And now I can probably turn on my taxi light on and I can start to get ready for departure. So I'm not going to push back with GSX today because basically we're at the point where I can probably just turn around real quick. I could get them to push me back all the way back, but there's this, post here, things. So that's fine. Let me go ahead and double check. I'm configured. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Set up my localizer and my heading for the approach. It's 108 decimal niner at 256. So let's go ahead and fix that. 108 decimal niner at course heading 256. Okay, 256 set for the 1 and 108 decimal niner once again at 256. Oh wait, hang on. I'm working this up. 256. Double check. 256 108 decimal niner. Confirmed. Okay, that's 2. Here we go. 256. That should be that. And then we can get going. Thanks again to everybody that stopped by tonight, that's hanging out in chat or lurking. I appreciate my lurkers very much. And hopefully everybody has a nice flight today. That's it. Initial climb is set. Actually, is there any restriction on the departure out of here? Let me double check. One departure. Gonna take the Charlottetown 3, and let's take a look at the overlay. So, let me share. Here is the departure. So, transition, safe altitude within 100 nautical miles 3000, confirm correct province, Prince Edward Island. So, anything for restrictions on the departure, maintain 5,000. So 5,000 is the initial climb, but again, I'm not on VATSIM and I'm not doing any kind of virtual ATC, so to be frank, don't care. But we're good. We're good. That's it. That is the flight, my friends. Let's go ahead and get started, and I think we're ready to start getting the plane ready for departure. So, quick mental check. Let's see. We have oxygen pressurizing, supply control packs auto. We have batteries on, generators on auto. GPU is currently in use, and now we can dismiss it because we're going to be starting the engines in the next minute or two. The parking brake is on, so we can remove the chocks. Then we can do a really quick check. We can turn off the courtesy light at this point since we're going to be ready to go very soon, very quickly. And we just have panel lighting, nav lights on, and we have the taxi light on, so I don't leave it on for too much longer, did you? Let's see. Electrical panel, we checked all the systems, or we checked all the annunciator lights. Circuit breakers, fuel pump transfer. Fuel transfer is not pushed in. ELT, gust lock pin, heating, ice protection. We'll deal with icing before we take off. And start stop knobs are both in the stop position, which is good. Okay, parking brake is set. So, winds, aircraft orientation, we are going to be taking off on 03 and there is going to be crosswind and departure. We should be okay. I am going to have to mind the rudder though. So, VOR, flight, lights, engine ignition, we have it set to auto at this point. And nav databases are current and fuel quality and balance. There we go. That's the important question. An hour and a half for block time. I want to make sure we have at least about 2,600 pounds of fuel and 340 pounds of payload. This should be fine. That does mean that I'm going to be using more of the runway, but let me think. The runway at Charlottetown is a 7,002 foot long runway for 03, so I think we're going to be okay. I've been rotating these days around like 140-ish, so I think we'll be fine. What else am I missing? What else am I missing? Stop, stop, stop. Battery is currently holding at 25 volts. I don't want to go beyond maybe like 24.6 or something, so I better hurry up. And fuel quantity, we do have 2,600 pounds of fuel. Probably more than enough to divert to Halifax if we have to. Hopefully we won't have to. We've tested everything. We've got the altimeter calibrated. And that's it. Flight directors, comms, navs, transponder, taxi takeoff freaking. We're going to be taxiing via Alpha to runway 03, which means straight back past Bravo. And that's it. Doors closed, battery voltage checked, IFE off, signs, air conditioning, and ADS AOA. I think we're good now. Quick check of the outside conditions. We have what looks like all doors closed. That's it. Should be all we need to do. Let's go ahead and fire up the engine, shall we? Engine 2, please. And we are clear both sides. Engine 2 is now live. And of course we have flaps coming down to position 1. Good start on 2. Let's start 1. ITT is definitely hot on engine 1, so we do have a good start, a good light. Waiting for that extra kick. There we go. 2 good starts. And post-start checklist. We have flaps set, throttle is idle, parking brake is still on, and now I think we can begin our taxi roll. But before we do that, let's go ahead and do our flight controls check. So full left. Again, full left, full right, full forward, and full back. And a quick peek downstairs, full left, and full right rudder deflection. There we are. So, taxi ramp up time's probably going to take about maybe 2 minutes or so. Let's get going. Parking brake removed. And let's go. And wait, did we accidentally leave the chocks in place? I thought I removed them. No, chocks are gone. Okay, we just need to move a little bit more. All right. Let's get underway. Looks like a pretty cold day in Charlottetown today. I'm probably going to do max takeoff power for today. And we are on Alpha, and we're going to be making our turn from Alpha to runway 03. We will do 5 nautical miles for the check as we look for traffic. And I think we turn left here. Indeed. Okay, there's the runway. Let's go ahead and turn on engine and wing anti-ice because it is precipitating and it is cold. I mean, it'd be kind of questionable if it wasn't that cold, but it was raining. But, irregardless, we are going to be climbing up to flight level 390, so let's go ahead and do the thing. But, real quick check before we take off. Let's just hold short here while I do a final ramp check. And just make sure that I am set to go here. Alright, so let me get the chat window open and make sure I'm not broadcasting volume. And there we go. Alright, chat, sit tight and let's do a final ramp. Okay. So before takeoff, brakes check, takeoff configuration, we are flaps 1. Let's go ahead and turn our landing lights on and turn the strobe light on for our departure. And what else do we need? Gas messages. Anti-ice stuff is on, parking brake is set. And of course, let's just start the clock when we start moving. That's it. Time off is going to be approximately 15:32 Zulu because I am not flying real time. So, let's release the parking brake. Hit the go button for the timer. And get going. And that'll do it for us for our prep work. We are moving out of here. Nobody's coming in or departing, so we're good. And we will not mess around, chat. We're going to be going almost immediately. It's windy even now. Sheesh. All right. Let's go. Full throttle. Airspeed's alive. We got winds coming in from the east. Or at least it feels that way. Alright, rotate slowly. There we go. Up, up, and up some more. Positive rate gear up. Oof, wow. Bumpy. Flaps up. And let's go ahead and turn on autopilot, nav GPS, and give me flight level change at, I'd say 170. Up we go, chat. Let's lower the sim volume a bit. Okay, we just passed Mansek. Let's go ahead and go direct to Umeti. And there we go. Nice that it factored in that turn. So we do have some weather we're contending with. Let's max out the climb. or at least leave it on takeoff. I'm hoping it's no less than 2,600 feet per minute. We do have about 170 nautical miles plus to Umedi, so that's probably not going to be an issue. Okay, so welcome everybody. Good evening. Happy Saturday night to all of you hanging out in chat and watching or lurking online. We are in the Phenom 100 and we're flying over to St. Pierre today for a evening stream. Weekend streams are, not exactly scheduled, but I usually try to be consistent, usually once a week on the weekends. I've also been trying to get back into scenery development as well. I had 2 nightly streams this week where I did no audio and just focused on building up the scenery at Lafayette Regional Airport. I'm trying to continue working on that because I do actually like to do scenery dev. It's just that, I just want to make sure that I'm not, what am I trying to say? I want to make sure that I am doing my due diligence because I want to, of course, finish the project. Let's see, double check. After takeoff checklist, we do have gear up. Flaps are indeed 0. And lights and window heats. I don't think we're going to need anti-ice anymore, I don't think. Let's go ahead and turn anti-ice off. Anti-ice is now off. Let's turn off the landing lights. And that's it, nav strobe. We're good. There we go. So, had an interesting day today. Woke up and Mrs. Digi said, let's go out. So, she had an idea in play to go, buy some Asian groceries, eat some food, and then come back later. We were also attempting to spend time with family, but folks had their stuff to do, and that's fine. So we said, okay, let's make a day of it. Let's go buy some Asian food, and let's go eat some good stuff. There was a bakery not that far away that we could actually go to eat food. So drove down there, and the both of us have just been, holding each other close these days because life's been rougher than either one of us would like it to be. And we got down there safe. We made it to our bakery, and we sat down and we said, hey, let's go ahead, let's order some stuff up. The bakery was actually pretty interesting because you didn't actually just like ask for everything. You had kind of like glass cabinets where you could see what you wanted, and you got it, and you just took it up to the front desk and paid for it. So Mrs. Digi said, hey, surprise me, get a bunch of stuff, let's see what you got. So I got some pastries and some savory and some sweet stuff. I got myself Korean iced milk coffee, which was dynamite, and I got her apple juice. And we paid, we sat down, and we were just like catching up, talking and eating and having a good time. And she said, hey, I'm still hungry. Can we get another one of those like savory pastries? And I said, sure. So I got up and I grabbed another tray and I got some more food. And I went up to the front, paid for it, and they said, hey, would you like this toasted? I said, hey, please. It was so good. And while they were toasting it, yeah, definitely delicious. And while I was waiting for it to be toasted, another patron comes up, and hmm? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So like we got the toasted thing, ate that, and then finished our drinks, and then we went over to the supermarket, and we went to town. We got a bunch of stuff to make soup. We got some good meat and candy and lots of savory snacks. Um, we spent at least an hour there. Had to have been like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then we basically said, hey, let's see, let's figure this out. Was there any was there anything else that we wanted to do? And then with both of us were like, nah, let's just go home from here. Oh, I remember. We got food on the way out and ate some soup, and then basically that filled us up enough to get in the car and drive home. And we got back, some hours ago, and then basically sat down and got comfortable and just prepped for dinner, and then I had some basically pot stickers, and she had the rest of her food. And well, I mean, here we are. It was a pretty good day to go out. It wasn't hot at all. It was seasonable. It was like there was like a light breeze. It was like barely in the upper 60s where we live, and mostly sunny. Just a great day to be out, either flying a plane or just like taking in the weather. And hey, like I'll be the first person to admit I do like me some cold weather, and that's why I'm a big fan of like fall and winter, because it's just transitioning into what I call my favorite time of the year, because it is. And we just like Mrs. Digi and I, we thrive in those times. But now that we are coming into warmer weather, I am looking forward to at least a little bit more time out, because it's nice to be out there. It's nice to take in a little bit extra time, catching some nice warm sunshine and time with people. I mean, it was certainly nice to be able to um, certainly nice to be able to what I'm trying to say, you know, enjoy the spring air. What's utterly unbelievable is that we're on our way through April. Like, what, next week is basically going to be like U.S. tax deadline. So Mrs. Digi and I already have our taxes done, but basically, did we? Okay, different conversation, but yeah, I have to remember that. Okay, so woof, rain. Yeah, like everybody's like wrapping up their tax work and stuff, and that's been taken care of for us, and now we are just going through the rest of April and then going into like May and June, and that's crazy. And some of you guys are going to be going to Flight Sim Expo at the St. Paul Conference Center, I think, outside of Minneapolis. I wish you well. Mrs. Digi and I will most likely not be in attendance because mostly, pretty much almost exclusively, actually, no, not almost exclusively, but largely or significantly due to financial reasons. But also, the staff of the event have also been paying attention to some recent, we'll just say, not niceness in the area, and they've been saying, hey, We are keeping an eye on the situation, obviously because they're paying attention to everyone's safety, and it does look like they are still rolling forward with the conference as planned, which is good. Which is good. I pray for a safe and eventful and wonderful conference for everyone that's going to be in attendance. And if it's going to be anything like some of the announcements that I heard from NFS Weekend, then we're going to be getting some pretty interesting stuff. Like, for example, there was what was it? Sheesh. An overhead for an Airbus cockpit. When did that happen? We are now getting to the point where peripheral and flight sim add-on manufacturers are now creating. They're not making enclosures, or they're not making enclosures this year. But can you imagine? Craft and Fur, hello, my friend. Welcome aboard. Very happy to have you with us. We departed from Halifax, I want to say, about 15 minutes ago. We're on our way over to St. Pierre in French territory, just outside of Newfoundland. The airport code is Lima Foxtrot Victor Papa, and we're flying the Phenom 100, as we have been recently. One of my favorite business jets of all time, clearly. And we are taking in some mostly cloudy skies. When we left Charlottetown in Prince Edward Island, it was snowing. So it was cold. It was cold. It is good to see you, my friend. Welcome aboard. Hopefully your weekend is going very, very well. We have just crossed, or we're about to cross, flight level 310 on our way up to flight level 390. And then, when do we begin our descent? I do not know. What I do know is that I need to make sure that my initial approach altitude is properly set. So I'm going to grab my charts window, and I'm going to be looking for the approach. So India Victor Papa 26 is going to be 2,000 feet. And that's 9 nautical miles, plus or minus the, let's see, the 10-ish nautical miles, including Lanba, which is the final, not the arrival waypoint. And then we have that at Atlan. So let's see, that's about, 10, 20, about 30 nautical miles when we hit the arrival. And we're at 39,000 feet. So I figure we're probably going to want to be at 3,000 feet. So 36, probably 120 nautical miles. So basically, once we cross Umedi and once we start going feet wet again, we'll begin our descent. We should be leveling off pretty soon, and that will give me the opportunity to set the altitude for the approach. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear about the house situation. Not yours, but I mean the fact that somebody had that happen. That sucks. May the Lord give them the opportunity to recover. In Jesus' name. Excuse me. So we're almost at cruise. Cruise is flight level 390, and we are not out of Nova Scotia as of yet. So let's see. No, actually, we are, or rather, we're not going to be, setting foot in Nova Scotia. Just that we're going to be flying past the outer limits, the extreme northeastern side of it. Yeah, yeah, I would agree. It's just that's sad. That's sad. I hope that they have a means forward. Yeah, not for the person that I'm talking to, for somebody in the neighborhood, but still, you know. Yeah, Mrs. Digi said it makes her sad. So we do have some weather in the area, and by and large, we're most likely not going to be anywhere near those clouds. Let me just peek out. Yeah, lots of weather, or at least lots of rain or cold. But otherwise, we're on our way up. Mrs. Digi is on the mend. To the extent that she's sleeping, academically speaking, yes, she's on the mend. But we do have issues that we're working on regarding her health. Um, she's got pain and issues adjusting to her medicine, and it's been rough. It's been rough trying to figure out issues with medication and just getting her to a place where she can stabilize in terms of not having to deal with side effects from taking or from not taking certain things. So hopefully that will sort itself out soon by the grace of God. That's my prayer. Let's just say we're taking it hour by hour. Also stand by. Stand by, chat. I was just checking in with her with regards to something else. But yeah, um, we're doing what we can. She is in at least a mostly comfortable spot, or somewhat comfortable spot. So am I. Just chilling at my desk here while we fly this fake plane. And we're 1,500 feet to go. Yes, yes, this is definitely enjoyable. And here I was thinking we weren't going to be able to meaningfully cruise at flight level 390. We still have approximately 88 nautical miles before we get to Omedi. How is the fake plane? Well, Crafton, let me put it to you this way. The Cockspur dev team restored my affinity for the Phenom 100. Up until they released it, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, I had my pick of, other airliners and the occasional business jet flight, but I didn't really feel that motivated to do biz jet flights in this sim. Now, I had, of course, the Carnado Phenom 100 installed in P3D and FSX back when I was flying it, many, many years ago. But these folks actually restored my appreciation for the aircraft. And this is my 4th episode of Phenom Bizjet on stream. And there's probably going to be at least a few more, because I'm enjoying flying this plane, and I'm enjoying flying to different locales with it. It's definitely a worthwhile purchase for me. And here's the thing: it's like a fraction of the cost of what the airliners that we all clamor for, or most of us clamor for, or some of us clamor for, cost. This thing literally cost me about I want to say between $26 to $30 US on release day. It is one of the best bargain purchases I've ever made this side of the PMDG 737-600 when it released for FS 2020 years ago. That plane I picked up for about $40 US, and it's a great plane. I still fly it. So we're cruising at 39,000 feet. I think I'm going to set the altitude for the drop for, let's see, 3,000. And that's going to be the initial descent. And if we want to go from, yeah, again, 120 nautical miles, I'd say once we're 20 nautical miles into the turn into the arrival, I'll begin the descent. But that's another 70 nautical miles away. My goodness, the Falcon 50. Wow. You don't know this because I didn't cross paths with you until recently, but years and years and years and years ago, somewhere around Rona times, I did a couple of flights in the Falcon 7X, which is basically like one of the most luxe looking business jets of like all time. I think it's a 3-engine business jet, and just it's the kind of thing that you would take to fly from Boston to Rome, or from Rome to like Iceland. And it's amazing. It's actually amazing. Or at least it was, because I don't fly X-Plane nearly as much as I fly MSFS. But I still have the download somewhere, and I wouldn't mind actually flying it again, except that the freeware version that I had was a little bit some assembly required with regards to setting up a flight plan. I didn't care about the level of the graphics in the interior. It flew. It took me from place to place. But I would say to fly Falcon 50 or Falcon 7X or Falcon 8X again would, I think, be a treat. But I do think that's probably something reserved for X-Plane in the near future, or in the future, or in the distant future. I don't know. I'm not totally like 100% sure what's up. I think it's safe for me to say at this point, this is probably going to be the flight for today's stream. I think when we get to St. Pierre, it's going to be probably either like 9:45 or like 10 o'clock my time, which isn't an issue. Hey, it's like Saturday night. I'm just saying, for me to start another flight from St. Pierre to Halifax, it's going to be easily an hour and a half flight. And I think one flight tonight's going to be, pretty handy, and me, chilling out, doing either some retro gaming or some like low key gaming on the computer afterwards is going to be fine by me. I have been taking steps to be more cognizant of that, so that when I put up a stream or put up an announcement, I make the second flight something which may or may not happen. I know I've done many streams in the past where it looked like I was going to do a second flight, but I miscalculated and I had to stop. So that's not something that I'm going to attempt to do further in the future. I'm just going to make sure that when I plan the flights, if I have time for a second flight, I'm going to make sure that it happens. Excuse me. I'm going to make sure that I indicate that exclusively or specifically. Crafton, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate you, my friend. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless you. Thanks so much for stopping in. Take care. Okay, where are we? Let's take a look at the chart. We are basically just about halfway through the channel between, say, Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. I figure another 3 to 5 minutes and we will be at Umedi. And then again, once we start flying from Umedi to the arrival, we're probably going to be beginning our descent. What's that? Yeah. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Let's see. I didn't take a look at altitude restrictions for the arrival. So, let me look. Looks like there are none. The St. Pierre NDB has a 6,000 foot maximum altitude. We will most likely be crossing at 3,000. That's the intent. Now, if I wanted to, I could probably use the NDB and have an arc approach in from Ulber to Emosa for the approach. But I'm lazy and the flight plan's already in the computer, so I don't care. What we'll do is we'll cross overhead the airport, and then we will probably stay on course heading until at least 5 or 6 nautical miles out, and then start turning into India Victor Papa 26, because I think I need to be at 2,000 feet at that point. Yes, I do. We will cross the airport overhead at like 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet, and then we will be inbound for our landing. Meanwhile, we still have a little less than 2,100 pounds of fuel left over, which is good. That should allow us to easily make St. Pierre. And if I was a corporate pilot and I needed to refuel for a larger distance flight, I'd probably fly up from St. Pierre to St. John's. But again, only one flight for tonight's stream. And I wish I had more of a sense of how long the flight was going to take. But two things. Even with a 61 knot tailwind, roughly, our ground speed's only 439 knots. So we're not going that fast, which means that, flying the return or flying to Halifax from here, even in a boomy, fast airliner, is going to take more time than it would with barely any winds. Because math. So yeah, there's that. Now, I could pull the classic digi trick, which is basically accelerating time by 2 or 4x, but I usually reserve that for world tour flights, and I know I haven't continued the world tour since I arrived in, I think, Santos Dumont. I want to say back in February. So that I guess I've just been partying down in Brazil for the past 2 months. But I think if I continue the tour, I'm probably going to fly into either Argentina or straight from Santos Dumont to Chile, and then fly up the spine of South America through Peru, probably Ecuador, um, Colombia, and then maybe go to Panama before I go to the Caribbean, and then fly up the Caribbean into like Florida, go west, and then basically, basically, kind of like zigzag up north to probably Detroit and then Montreal before flying west and doing some long legs into, say, Winnipeg or somewhere like that, Calgary, and eventually back to Vancouver where the tour started. So the idea, of course, sounds great, but the execution, as you can clearly tell, is elusive. Now, we have a little bit less than 100 nautical miles to Atlan, so when this reads roughly 80 nautical miles, we will begin our descent. Now, I could theoretically wait another 10 nautical miles, which is what I might do, and say start at 70. And if we're a little bit high over St. Pierre, then that's fine. We'll just adjust, maybe go out further before we turn into the ILS approach. That's not a major issue. It's not. It's just a question of when we begin the descent. So we are good. We are good. Now, I had some good pork dumplings earlier. No, good pork pot stickers. Gyoza, really. I might make some more food later because I just had like a serving of them. Oh yeah, let me drink the rest of my coffee now before I'm up at like 3 a.m. Ah, it's not hot. It's like starting to get cold, which is cool. I'm weird. I like cold coffee, and I don't mind it when the coffee that I make, which initially gets brewed hot, eventually turns cold because I get busy or just focus on doing work. Because I work remotely, I work in an office in like like what would basically have been like a guest bedroom at our home, which is basically an office right now, and I sometimes make coffee and take a few sips, set it down, and get really busy with something, and I literally don't touch it for like an hour. And then I'm like, ooh, cold coffee. Glug, glug, glug. But that doesn't happen very often because I generally tend to drink my coffee within, like, say, 15-ish minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. Something. This area of the world is really interesting because I'm flying across so many air highways that people use to transition into nat tracks for crossing the Atlantic. Now, the northern Atlantic has nat tracks for going from North America to Europe, and the slightly more southern part, or I guess the central Atlantic, the northern central Atlantic, has nat tracks going from Europe to the States. At least I think so. I haven't spent a lot of time doing oceanic crossings, and this, I think, is about the time of year when Cross the Pond would have happened, the westbound arm. I have, in the past, done lazy flights in MSFS multiplayer, which were cool because I actually had the one year, actually had some people fly with me unofficially that I didn't know. But they basically came in to Boston. I took off from an airport in France, in Western France, and then basically I I flew real time. I was flying a 787-9 or 10, and so I, you know, shot it up to cruise. I was doing stuff throughout the day, and then about in the final third or so of the flight, I streamed the arrival into Boston. Had a nice time landing, although I was like kind of all over the place because my inputs were erratic. I think I was flying with a gamepad. I don't think I had the joystick and throttle quadrant plugged in at the time, but the flight was uneventful. Like it was cool. I got to fly from Europe to, the States, so I was happy. We landed, we taxied in, boom, done. Definitely an enjoyable experience. Do I do as much flying on VATSIM as I did, some years ago? No. A couple of reasons. I mean, sometimes I like flying without needing to, check into ATC and without having to pay attention to it. I do like flying with traffic, and if I take a look at my radar, we do have some folks, some real world traffic flying, give or take, like 30 seconds to 2 minutes for time difference. But we are actually flying with FSLTL traffic, and I don't know what okay, this is 25 nautical miles, so I might not see them if I look behind me. Plus, the engines are really loud in this bird, so I don't want to make anybody rip their headphones off by going outside. If I do go outside, I will tell you so you have ample time to take your headphones off, just so it doesn't go like and like you wind up going ow because of loud noise. But yeah, we do have FSLTL on. Traffic injection is working. uh, I didn't actually go into FSLTL at first because I had AIG AI Manager for model matching, but as the months went on, I started to notice that the model matching wasn't ideal. And I mean, you can, in theory, have two sets of models to choose from, or you can combine them both, or even have more model sets if you wanted to, so that you could actually have maybe two or three, or I don't know, different model matching kits. But I went from AIG to FSLTL. And FSLTL as a whole, as one package, does a much better job of model matching than AIG AI Manager did. And I think part of the reason why might have been because that library was either no longer being maintained or wasn't maintained nearly as much as the FSLTL library was. Okay, I wasn't paying attention, and we are another 20 miles past my drop off, but let's go ahead and start drop. And we're going to do this constant descent. We're going about 400 knots right now, so we're going to do 2,000 feet per minute. And we will adjust as necessary. But sheesh, just like that, even with climbing to 39,000 feet and having a while, our cruise is done, and we are in descent. Like I usually like to say on stream, once you start your arrival into any airport, stuff starts happening pretty quickly. So, let me drink a little bit more coffee. And let me make sure I'm on top of my checklists. First off, let me idle the engine some more, because I don't want to overspeed. So let's take a look. The descent Window heats are definitely on. Pressurization is just barely to 5,900 feet. And icing conditions. Let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit. We have weather just outside of the approach, but I don't think we're going to have an issue with weather at the airport. Let me double check that right now. I'll check my airport weather for St. Pierre. Airport weather is, let's see, winds calm. Clouds are overcast 300. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Overcast at 300 and the decision height is 220 feet. So not a lot of room for error. This could be a very spicy approach. But there is no precipitation on order. So that's it. It is what it is. Okay. At 2,000 feet per minute, we're starting to descend faster than our airspeed, so I think we're going to be fine for approaching the airport at 3,000. But let me add a little bit more forward speed. Whether you're ready or not, I believe in you. But my friend, welcome aboard, Lost Lake. Good to see you. We are on approach to St. Pierre. If it can be believed, we're flying from Canada to France. It's a French territory just outside of Newfoundland, and we are going to be landing to the west. So runway 26, which means we're going to be overflying the airport, and I'm going to tune the heading select when we actually start to get close to the airport. Lyles, welcome aboard, my friend. Very good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. We're on our way into a French territory airport, just southwest of, actually southwest of St. John's in Newfoundland. St. John's is, I think, the largest and furthest east airport in Canada, although it might not be the furthest east airport in Canada, but I'm saying it's the largest international airport and the furthest east that that I can think of for a major hub. It's definitely an airport, but we're not landing there. We're landing at St. Pierre. Good evening, Laos. Good to see you. Thanks again to everybody that stopped in today, and again, thanks to Allison Johnson and Iowa Scotsman for the resubs. Thank you very much for your support. We've got a roughly 82 knot crosswind, which is pushing us and creating a really sharp grab angle as we descend. 2,000 feet per minute, 353 knots over the ground. We probably don't have to descend that fast anymore, but we will, let's say, 1,800 feet per minute is fine. And let's stick somewhere around 230 to 240 knots for the descent. Today was a really good day for going out and for getting some food in our bellies. I took Mrs. Digi out to go eat some wonderful pastries and to buy some Asian food at an Asian supermarket not that far away from where we live. And yeah, man, we took in the weather. We came home. I was kind of wiped actually. So while technically I don't drink 3 cups of coffee on any given day, I had Korean iced milk coffee today, and then about an hour ago I was like, no, I'm dogging, I'm making a cup. So I did. Judge me. All right, 27,000 feet, and we're at Atlan. Something makes me think that we need to be descending a lot faster than we are right now. So let's do that. Let's do 2,400 feet per minute. and that should take us down the requisite remainder. Like I said, if we wind up overcrossing the airport at a huge altitude disparity, that's no problem. We can just continue on a fixed heading and then line up with India Victor Papa 26, which is the first approach fix for the ILS approach. We will do what we can. And yes, I do like me some coffee, clearly. And Lost Lake, I gotta say, that coffee emote is seriously one of the best emotes I've ever seen. I'm not even joking, I like it so much. Great job. Now, let's slow down a lot because we've got about, let's see, another like 20-ish nautical miles before we overfly the airport. I don't expect to cross it at 10,000 feet, but I'll be pleasantly surprised if we do. I will be pleasantly surprised. 362 knots, so let's see, 12, 14. Yeah, we're like 1,000 feet per minute sharper than the airspeed, and that's okay because we're on our way down. Okay, we'll take a look at the plane just once before we continue our descent. Earphone warning and mic get loud. You've been warned. Here we go. Look at this bird. So nice. Isn't it though? It has a bigger brother. The Phenom 300 is the larger version. I think it's just barely a mid-size business jet, like in the same category as like say the Learjet 45. But the Phenom 100 carries like 4 passengers plus a pilot, first officer, and maybe like one crew member. As you can tell, this is how much it seats. So, actually, nobody's sitting here today, which is cool. So you can get a sense for, the seating arrangements. It's not bad. And of course, there is a, private space for a lavatory. Um, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, unless you're really comfy around your friends, you're probably not going to use it. Or at least I'd imagine that's the case. So we're going to be transitioning through 18,000 feet to local pressure shortly. We will double check our altimeters by pressing the B button, and we'll double check our lights. Now, the approach briefing, we are going to be manually intercepting the India Victor Papa 26 waypoint for the approach, and there is that automatically extended center line to tell us where to come in to line up with the waypoint. I might even use this arc of the hold here to um, to get set. But there we go. There we go. Even though this flight has basically been going on for about 52 minutes and we've been yapping for the past hour and a half, it's still a pretty quick flight. Like I always say, like, you get to the point where you're like on approach to somewhere, stuff happens really fast. After this flight, we're gonna, park up, check out the airport real quick, say our goodbyes, and then I will most likely see some of you around the Twitchverse tonight. Actually, the YouTubeverse tonight if I go see my friend uh, Canuck. who is on YouTube. And let me think. I don't think any of the usual folks that I hang out with during the week are going to be streaming tonight, with the possible exception of my friend Kaon, who is on an NES Quest playing American Nintendo Entertainment System games. I like to stop by his channel because he does a Game of the Month feature where he plays a specific game over a period of a month or several months is required to beat it. But yeah, it's usually a weekday thing with him. Sometimes Sundays as well. I usually do not see him on Saturday nights or Saturdays unless it's a very special occasion. Okay, so we're basically in a 10 nautical mile range of the airport, or almost. And it does look like we will be a little bit under 10,000 feet, but we're not going to be at like 3,000. We might be at 6,000 at best. But that's actually okay, because if we're under 10,000 feet by the time we cross over the airport, that means we won't have to go very far to line up with the ILS approach, which I'm going to start doing right now. First thing I'm going to do is sync the heading to 113. And the next thing I'm going to do is activate heading mode once we actually cross over or get close to it. And close is basically like 3 nautical miles or less, so that we don't automatically turn to India Victor Papa 26. All right, under 10,000 feet, let's get those landing lights on. And what else do I want to do? We'll set flaps for landing. We'll get the gear down. We probably don't need to be obsessed about descending so quickly now. So we can take the descent rate down to probably even 16 or 1400 feet per minute at this point, and we should be fine. We're not straight in for the runway. I'm not worried about that. But we should be okay. We will be overhead the airport in less than 5 nautical miles. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and go heading mode and lock in at basically our current heading, which is more or less going to keep us on the magenta line, although we might deviate a little bit as we are not actively following GPS at this point. And we are descending at a pretty good rate. I'd say 1600 is going to be our max descent rate. I don't want to go too much faster than that. Okay, now, last time I checked the weather, we were overcast at 300. So we're going to be breaking out right as we see the runway. So me basically getting the approach on lock is going to have to be just like absolutely essential. It has to be essential. Like we can't mess around with this. Okay, so let's go ahead and activate the approach. And we are still on heading mode, but we are not turning towards the approach fix because, again, I'm not worried about that. Instead of 3,000 though, let's go 2,000 feet. And let me double check the approach plate. Foxtrot India 26 is actually 1,600 feet. So let's set up 1,600. And that way, once we hit it, we can go direct the final approach fix. Right. So the reciprocal of 256 is probably going to be 266 would be 186. So probably one, no, 086? 076? Yes, 076. Let's go to 076 degrees. This should be the reciprocal. And look at that. I was just a little bit off the timing, but basically at this point, we might even start turning back towards Foxtrot India 26. Yeah, let's do that. We are dancing in the clouds, and there are no AI generated aircraft in our vicinity, otherwise, we'd see them on the map. Nothing on the fish finder, as they say. Right. This lets us line up with the approach, and we're coming up in altitude. We might look slow, but we're still going about 230 miles an hour. We do have landing lights on, nav strobe, panel lighting, upwash is off. Winds are calm at St. Pierre, so wind gusts shouldn't be an issue. It's just that it's overcast. And now I'm going to activate approach mode. We'll go through the localizer a little bit, but we should be fine to line up with the runway. Okay, let's start slowing down. Gear down. And we'll take flaps 1 right about now. Okay, we're on descent. Let's go ahead and set 2,000 as our go-around altitude. And since we don't have any traffic, let's go ahead and do flaps 2. I'm not going to go too far beyond flaps 2 for this approach, unless, of course, we have no need to worry about winds. Last time I checked, we didn't have to. And like I said, this airplane is a very light jet, so it carries so much energy on final approach that unless you're on approach and at the proper speed, you're gonna flare and, like, you know, balloon back up a bit. But the angle of attack that I'm starting to see as the flight director goes just above the horizon tells me this is the speed I want to be at. Let's do flaps 3 to be safe. We are 2.5 nautical miles, about 2 miles, and I can see the airport. Good. Okay. Wonderful. Didn't have to worry about coming out at 300 feet. Let's do this. My aircraft. let's actually go flaps 4. This way we'll be able to slow down in time. We're a little bit off. The wind should push us over. Wow. Looks like the fog or whatever cleared up. Come on, get me on center line, please. Let's go. There we are. Looking good. 50, 30. Let's coast it in. Ooh, ballooned a little bit. There we go. Nice landing. Let's clean up. Welcome to Saint Pierre. Just a little bit of wind, not much. And there we are. 1 hour, 4 minutes. Just about 1 hour, 5 minutes. And we are here. Welcome to St. Pierre, Miquelon. The time is now Windsock o'clock. Winds are calm, so it's doing its little dance. Let's slow down the ground speed a little bit. And just like that, our little adventure is drawing to a close for today. So, let's park up by the hangar, shut the plane down, take a quick peek around the airport, and then call it a night. There's some fuel stands over there that we can use to fuel up if we fly out of here, which we might do in a future stream. But again, we're not doing the second flight today. I'm just going to go ahead and call it at this point after we clean up and settle in for the night. All right. Let's park up. All right. There we go. Taxi lights off, and let's go ahead and cut the engines. And let's see. Transponder standby, and nav lights off. And that, as they say, is that. So let's have a little bit of fun. Let's go ahead and shut things off. We will turn bleeds off, pressurization's off, ignition switches can come off. We are definitely idle, and flaps 0. We can turn off window heats, ADS AOA, hydro pumps. We can turn off fuel pumps, and fasten seatbelt signs, and even the ALT. And we can basically cut things off at this point. Won't need the GPU because we're not going to be, flying again. Bus tag can go back to open. We can depressurize, and we'll turn the batteries off. And that's it. Let's go ahead and put some equipment down. Chocks. We'll get the covers on. And set the control lock. And that's it. Okay, so just like that, we have arrived. We have the engine nacelle covers. Looking good. Looking good. November 6532 Zulu, my favorite call sign of all time for this plane. I might have to do a livery repaint of this thing to get the old, dark chocolate livery back, because, man, that thing looked good. But, yeah, this is the freeway airport. There's no real-world traffic taking off out of here, although there are flights that come in. And the beautiful thing about this terminal is that someone actually figured out how to do parallax, so it looks like 3D, even though there's actually nothing in here, which is totally fantastic. I need to figure out how to do that, but it looks great. And again, this is totally free, so I'm not complaining about the airport at all. It looks wonderful. This is a freeware effort, and it's available on flightsim.to if you look up the airport. And this is a definitely, again, French territory. Nice place. And I think the tower is here. Is there another tower? No, I think this is the only tower. Yeah, man. For free? I'll take this. I'll definitely take this. So, um, the second flight from here would have been a flight in the 787, but as you can imagine, this airport is small. And how long is the runway here? Let me see. The runway is 6,299 feet long. So whatever 787 would take off out of here would need to take off with not that much fuel, not that many people, and not that much payload. So a flight from here to Halifax would be appropriate as a repositioning flight. Say they had to come in here to do some service or some maintenance. That's basically what would happen. So basically, that's the way the cookie crumbles. But was not expecting to come out of the overcast layer at like 600 or 500 feet, which is what happened. And as you can tell, we're definitely on a beautiful looking island. And that's going to be it. That's going to be it. I will not be on tomorrow, and I will definitely try to do at least two quiet dev streams this week. Don't know when. Probably either Monday, Wednesday, or something in that time frame. I do not know. Um, Stay tuned on the Discord for times. Excuse me, for me announcing that I go live to do scenery dev. I'm working on Lafayette in Louisiana, and it's been a project for the last like year and a half. I want to get it done soon, and throw some things in there to make it look good. But folks, appreciate everybody that stopped in. Definitely appreciate Allison and Iowa Scotsman for the resubs. For everybody that stopped in and said hello, and for everybody that lurked, definitely appreciate all of you and wishing all of you a great rest of your weekend. And like I always like to say at the end of every stream, if you want true peace, you want the Prince of Peace. And that is indeed Jesus Christ. My friends, have a great rest of your day. I'm going to go catch me some leftover cold coffee and maybe a snack or two from the hangar bay. And until next time, from the virtual flight deck of the Phenom 100, registered November 6532 Zulu, we will see you. Take care, my friends, and until next time, bye.